I'm nervous. But here we go, right? So everybody knows that breast cancer sucks, including Molly. She'll back me up on this one. But it doesn't mean that you can't do anything about it. So I've collected a few tips and tricks for getting through the horror that is breast cancer. Tip number 1, throw a party. Now, I know your first reaction is to break down and cry, but trust me, once you've been diagnosed with breast cancer, these puppies have an expiration date. Invite over a few friends. If you haven't been fondled by a friend recently, get on it. TikTok. Seriously, 1 out of 8 women, temporary. So, breast cancer is like the zombie apocalypse. It's coming. Be prepared. Tip number 2, smuggle a camera into surgery. How else will you get a photo like this? Seriously, how many of you have a photo like this? I have the best medical team ever. Tip number 3, make friends with your anesthesiologist. The key words are sub-anesthetic dose. Just a few minutes before surgery, get a little dose of something they're gonna give you anyway. Gives you a few minutes of realizing how much you love your surgeon and what a great day it is to be eviscerated. Tip number 4, if you're gonna be irradiated, make sure they give you the kind that gives you superpowers, not the kind that kills you. I personally was hoping for spidey webs from my wrists. No such luck. Gamma radiation, like an Imaga scan, turns you into the Incredible Hulk, not Spider-Man. I didn't turn very green, but I did get the breast, right? I was only an A cup before. Tip number 5, get your hair done. It's amazing how forgiving the world is when you have breast cancer. You can look completely nuts, and people think it's awesome. Okay, now most of the tips so far have been a little tongue-in-cheek, I admit. This one had a very profound impact for me. If you're gonna do chemotherapy, do psychedelics. Now, in seriousness, I did not intend on taking psychedelics as part of my treatment. I wasn't gonna do anything my medical team didn't recommend. That would be crazy, because drugs are bad, okay? But complication after complication eroded me. I had multiple post-op infections, multiple emergency surgeries. I had a bad reaction to a blood transfusion and to Taxol. I was defeated. I was fatigued, I was apathetic, I was done. And I realized I needed to do something. I started researching options. And one of the options I found was the therapeutic use of psychedelics. Apparently, there are multiple legitimate studies being done by legitimate organizations on the therapeutic use of psychedelic drugs. Now, looking at my own condition, side effects, contraindications of my treatment, I knew I was looking for something with minimal cardiac impact, no liver or kidney damage, and 0 chance of addiction. I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. One of the things I found is that antidepressants, benzodiazepines, do not meet those criteria. LSD does. Go figure. So even at that, I admit I am paranoid. I took a half dose. That is almost sub-threshold. I didn't get all the cool psychedelic hippie trip stuff all the kids are into. I didn't get any fun visuals. I didn't get any auditory hallucinations. I simply felt better. Now, there's nothing amazing about feeling good when you're high. If you don't feel good when you're high, you're pretty much doing it wrong. But what was amazing is that I still felt good the next day and the day after that, and for over 2 weeks. I did this 3 times over the course of 6 months, and each time I had the energy and the motivation to get up and get moving. I went for a walk on the beach. I went dancing for a few hours. I got the exercise I needed to feel normal again. LSD restored normalcy to my life. Which brings me to my last tip, which is become part... Oh, no, we're not there yet. After each of these experiences, I felt normal enough that I could get back to the regular parts of my life. I got back to work. I was able to socialize with my friends. I was able to catch up on email. That brings me to my last tip, which is become part zombie. I have alloderm, cadaver bits implanted. And why is this important? Because when that zombie apocalypse comes, you're going to want me as your best friend.
She'll definitely be my best friend. Our presentation, you get 2 for 1 tonight. So, woo! We are, thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to present actionable clinical information powered by Enterprise Data Warehouse. We're Phyllis Bonacci. I'm Art Fletcher. This is Russ Snead. And we have basically taken 2 disciplines and brought them together, technology and accounting and finance. Kind of strange, but it works. Our clients like it. End of the day, we bring real-world solutions looking at the client's problems that really create real-world software.
Let's take, for example, an issue that was given to us. We were presented with a large number of facilities that needed some reporting, and they were trying to actually ascertain whether patients met, declined, or failed particular measures. So one of our issues had to do with actually trying to find out what a true diabetic is. As we know with the A1C, a patient may come in today, that result would be in the acceptable range. Next month it may not. So we had to go through and actually find the correct test, but we also had to use more than just the diagnosis code to actually find a true diabetic.
Now, one of the challenges that we had out there was we really had to come up with something that gave clearly defined metrics and that we could really give that definition to the provider so he felt comfortable with that metrics. On top of it, we needed to give the provider a tool so he can actually improve his performance. End of the day, that's what he needs. Then we looked at the data. Oh my, look at all those databases we looked at. There's the EMR, PM, labs, surveys, finance, all these databases that we had to bring together, put into a warehouse, make them all relate together somehow, and at the end of the day have a nice reporting system. But there was a great opportunity here. The opportunity was there's years of data out in those systems. So with the right data mining tool, the parsing tools, we can come up with an excellent solution.
But we had to first start by getting the data into the warehouse. So we used standard techniques. We would extract the data out of production, transform it, load it into the warehouse, and by doing this, we could actually tune it for searching, and we would also be able to, sorry, totally off topic. We have all the relevant pieces that we need to actually build the clinical metrics, but we also have a wealth of knowledge that we can go do other searching that we needed. But where we actually found the true gold was actually resided in the notes. A lot of providers still like to sit there and type out their notes. Within these, this is where we would find whether a patient declined a particular exam, foot exams, so on and so forth.
And the next thing we needed to do was really look at the metrics. We had seen some programs out there that were just focused in on the ICD-9, the CPT code. We said we needed more than that. We needed more meat. So we added the SNOMEDs, the LOINCs, the orders, used everything in that database that we could. The next thing we really wanted to do was create a end report that was agnostic. So you didn't care where it went to, whether it was SharePoint, Excel, Cognos, reporting services out of SQL. And the last thing is that report needed to communicate to the end user basically in 5 to 10 seconds what it needed to communicate. And if it didn't do that, we needed to rewrite that report. And we did that through the exception reporting and then also visualization of data.
But what we would do to present this data ourselves, we created a little dashboard, and it would show all the various metrics for a particular program. If we drill into these metrics, we would be able to see the total number of patients, the patients who actually met that along with their percentages. But if we were to select on one of those metrics, we could actually start to drill into to see the data. So we could get down to the level and actually see the providers and graphically understand where that provider sits in relation to other providers. So we can actually identify very quickly some of those providers who might need assistance with some of their patients. But if we keep drilling in, we can select a provider, and that will take us into the patient list itself. So now we can start to see in a very graphical, linear level where these patients have existed in their historical view for some of these. Now, utilizing this same data, we could present using, let's say, a dashboard or a schedule, and be able to see or give the provider a snapshot of what that patient might need.
End of the day, we come up with really 4 benefits. The client gets better care. The provider now has a tool to improve his performance. The client or the clinic actually has a better reputation because they're taking better care of their clients. And actually, the insurance company knows that their clients are being measured and being better taken care of. We want to thank you for your interest. We're Philly Spinaci.